So hello, in this tutorial we're going to be working with Oasis montage, and the things that we're going to be doing today will be to get the general overview of Oasis montage. We're going to explore menus, load selected menus. We're going to load a grid, a magnetic grid file. We're going to export that particular grid file to a database, import the database itself, and assign coordinates and grid that particular data using a chosen a gridding method. So we are using Oasis montage. The version we are using here is 8.5. Oasis montage is a geophysical software that is used to actually transform your data you have into making very, very good decisions with them. So with Oasis montage, you can actually visualize, analyze, and integrate all your geoscience data. These data are but not limited to magnetic data, to gravity data, electromagnetic data, induced polarization data, geochemical data, and several other data. Now, Oasis montage has been setting the standard in geophysical modeling for over 30 years, and of course, it is still evolving. And you can process very, very big data with ease. You can view, do a QA and QC, quality check. You can transform. You can analyze all raw data. Where, like I mentioned, you can analyze geological data, geochemistry data, and geophysics data using 2D and 3D modeling capabilities. Also, you can rapidly assess and experiment with large data sets in real time. You can run numerous filters and processes. You can spatially align all the data with real-time coordinate projection. So it works in such a way that you can import, overlay, and work with more than 50 common data formats, from CAD to GIS to mine planning and modeling. So there are so many things you can do. So Oasis montage actually brings geoscience data together, and so that to enable you to build the most complete model there is. And you can easily pass off these files to teams working in different formats. You can even go ahead and code your own processes through the Oasis montage open application API. So, and you can also customize your workflows, because as we know that each project is unique. So you can record and automate repetitive and complex data processing tasks. So we are going to be talking about how you can save a lot of time using Oasis montage. You can save those processes so that you can reuse them, and you can add several add-ons and to your workflow. So Oasis montage is such a beautiful software which can be used to do both ground and airborne UAV surveys, magnetics, gravity, resistivity, radiometrics, geochemistry, and geology. So it's a very powerful software, and we are going to be diving so deep into Oasis montage to see their capabilities and how they can help us. So whenever you launch your Oasis montage, the first screen that greets you is this. So normally what we usually do is to create a new project, or if you have an already existing project, you can do that. But since it's our first entry into Oasis montage, all we can do is to create a new project. So you can hit this button here to create a new project. Now it will take you to a place where you may want to already prepared my data, and it's tutorial 1, and I have this accurate sheet 162 in there. So what I'm going to do is to save this data. So we call it tutorial 1. This is our project. So every file is associated with this particular GeoSoft project. The extension is the .gpf. So whenever you see the .gpf extension, it tells you it's an GeoSoft project file. So That is it. So we are creating our new project. This is where we're now going to start adding our data and all that. So what it does is whenever you create a new project, it adds some things that we call core menus. These are core menus of the Oasis montage. But these menus are extensible. You can extend them because there are so many things you can do with there are so many things you can do with this. But what it does is that it creates these core menus, and we will see how we are going to add extra menus. And but first of all, we're going to explore this particular menu. So we have the file menu here. This thing is running at a very slow pace. Okay, we allow it. Sometimes when you're using an old system, these kind of things happen. It's avoidable, but then we are okay right now. So I say I'm not connected, I can sign in, but I'm not doing that now. We will get to a place where we'll sign in, especially when we want to use some of the tools. I will explain that in a second. So we have this file menu that we can use to either create a new project. We can use it to open a new project. We can use it to save our project. And here you can manage your licensing information, and you can use it to print and do several other things. You can use this to actually open recent geodata files and recent project files. You see, I have got quite a lot here that I have done recently. So now in this edit, you can use this to edit a file, and you can use it to do so many things in the database. But since we don't have any database loaded, all these are grayed out. So but we'll come to that. We'll come to that place where we can use it to do some very good things. And now this is GX. GX means GeoSoft executable. So this is where you have a lot of your menus that you can load. Like I told you, you can extend the menus that are here. You can use this to load menu. We will come to that just in a moment. And we can do several other things, remove a menu and do all sorts. So this database, we will use it to create, open, export, import databases that we have created. We can also use it to maintain a particular database that we have. We will still get there. We will do all these one after the other. And now this is for the map section. We can use this to create new maps. You can use it to import maps. You can use it to export maps, view metadata concerning the particular map that we have imported, and all whatnot. So this is the ArcGIS MXD. What they do is that this ArcGIS and GeoSoft has some compatibility. You can open an ArcGIS project file inside Oasis montage. You can also open GeoSoft Oasis montage files in ArcGIS by installing the ArcGIS plugin. So this allows what we call data interoperability of these data sets. So you can either work in an ArcGIS environment inside this Oasis montage, and likewise you can actually import or add data or GeoSoft data in ArcGIS. We'll get to that place, and we'll get to that bridge, of course. We'll cross it. So this is for the coordinate menu. We'll use this to set XYZ coordinates. We'll use it to set new coordinate system and create some projected coordinate system. So we can use it to do a lot of things, and we can even use this to load some GPS based data. And we can use this also, these coordinates, to actually define a particular georeferencing that we may want to use. We'll get to these. All of them, we'll take them one by one. And in here, we have the database tools, where we can do a lot with database tools. For example, in this database utility, you can use it to merge databases. You can use this window data to actually make a section, or to window, or to actually isolate a particular data, a particular portion of your data or in your study area. We can do that. You can use these filters to perform some filter in your data, like the high pass, the low pass, and all that. These are very, very important. You can use it to do polynomial fitting, you can use it to do linear regression, and the rest of them. We'll look at these ones much later. You can also use this for your geostatistical analysis, and we can use it to do a lot of things. Also here, grid and image, we'll use this to do gridding. There are several gridding methods and types. We will be looking at them one after the other. And you can also use this particular thing to change the way your image or your grid appears. You can use it to do some sun shading. You can change the format of your images from BMP to TIF to JPG and all that. Even this, you can use it to create ternary images, especially when you're working with radiometric data. This particular menu comes in handy. And then also you can use this to composite, like join, so to speak, to join two different grids to make them one. This actually do that. Also in the map tools, we will use this particular menu to create new maps and all that. We can use this to create automated map sheets. For example, if you're working in a large area and you need your maps to be in particular coordinate ranges, you can use this to create several maps at the same time, which are automated. Geosoft works in such a way that it saves you a lot of time in tasks that you may feel that is very, very boring. So we use this to add contours to our maps. You can use this to place some symbols. You can use it to place legends and all that. We'll come to that. Also, we use this to do some section, especially when you want to transform your data, especially to 3D and all that. So you can use it to create sections and do all that you need to do. We'll get to this much later. This for 3D. This is to seek for data. Like I said earlier, you can connect to the net and download data that is hosted in the internet, or the web maps, or the data that you have, geospatial data that you have there in the net. This actually comes in handy when you do that. So it's a seeker. You use it to seek for data, because there are several data sets: gravity, electromagnetic, magnetic data that are online. With this, you can use it to download this data into your workspace and it will work for you. So this window, we use it for, if we have several windows open, we can use it to tile it either horizontally, vertically, and arrange or cascade them. But in this case, we don't have any window open, so there is nothing to tile, there is nothing to actually cascade, and that's why they are grayed out. And this help button helps you to do your update, install custom modules, and know about Oasis montaj. And let me say this, that Oasis montaj has some very, very rich technical documentation. You click here, you read about some tasks that you may not understand, or some functions that you want to run, or some what's it called now, the executables that you want to run. It gives you an in-depth information about what is there and how it is designed to run, so you can get refreshed, or you can get the information that you require there. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is to load selected menus. Like I said, when you create a new project, Oasis montaj actually loads a particular menu for you. They are called core menus, these things you are seeing here. But then they are not enough for our work. So what we usually do is that we load menus that are going to be working for us, because if we have all these menus here, we have a very cluttered workspace. So what we're going to do is we will need some menus here which we'll select and load. One of those menus is the CET grid analysis menu, that is Center for Exploration Targeting menu. We'll go and look for, we would need IGRF menu. We will need that. And then we don't need IP at this moment. We will need map menu. Yes, we need this. And what else? What else do we need? We need SPI. Where is it? We need SPI. And I think for now, that is all. Any menu that we have not loaded, we'll still have the opportunity to load it some other time. So if you look at this place, we'll see that we have the CET grid analysis menu loaded, the IGRF menu, the map, the SPI menus that have been loaded. So that goes. And let's just look at this. We'll use it to do some lineament extraction, lineament detection, and vectorization, and all that. So we'll get there. We have the help menu to tell you about this particular menu that we have here. We'll use this to do the IGRF. IGRF means International Geomagnetic Reference Field. We use it to define a particular model of our data, because magnetic information or magnetic data, the magnetic knot or the magnetic information, they change quite a lot, especially once you take a particular magnetic data at a particular time. We know the magnetic field is always changing, it's not static. So what we do is that every 5 years there is this this IGRF. They define a model that you can now make your data to assume that particular model for that year every 5 years. So we use this IGRF to transform this data in such a way that we'll be able to use it at the present time. Also, this magma menu is used for several things. We will come to see what they are used for, especially when you want to define some filters and all, like do reduce to pole, reduce to equator, first vertical derivative and all that. All are done here, like the tail derivative analytics signal and all. This is SPI source parameter imaging. We just use it to know depth to basement and all that. So when we get there, we'll know how to use them. So this is a summary of what these things can do for us. So the next item is for us to load a grid. So the easiest way for you to load a grid is to come to this place on the left-hand panel. This is adjustable. You can make it bigger or smaller depending on how you wish. So we can, you now want to go to right click here and you say add grid. So we'll go here, open this particular folder and add this Akere grid. So you see a map comes out for us. This is particular Akere grid sheet 162. Now, what I usually do is that when you get this data, you don't have enough information to tell you how this data was gridded and all that. So it is better for you to own it, especially do it to specify. If you have a particular specification on how you want your work to look like, this will do it for you. So what we are going to do, that we're going to export this particular grid and import it again so that we grid it accordingly to our own specification so that we own this data. So any analysis we are doing, we will know where we are coming from. So what we're going to do is to left click on this grid and image and go to utilities. So where we're going to go to utilities, we'll go to save grid to database. So what we are going to do is to save this particular grid to database, and the grid that we're working with is Akere. If we put this drop down arrow, or you can also click on these 3 dots here and check this and open it. So now this new database, where do you want it to be? We want this database to be here. So we'll just say Akere DB. So give it any name you like, it doesn't matter. So the data channel. So what is going to be the data channel? The data channel for us will be Z. Let us make it Z because the X is for the longitude, Y is for the latitude, and Z is for the TMI. So that's our data. And creating the channel, no, we just leave this pretty much as it is and click on OK. So what is this going to do? It's going to create a database for this our data. So here we go, we have it. So if you look at this properly here, so you see that we have some of these databases here. So this is actually what has been given to us. And you see this blue line means that these particular data channels are actually protected. Blue means it's protected. So if you scroll down here, we'll see that here we have about 48 data points. But this is not all the data, I can assure you that. So if you right click on this place and click on list, you see a list of the lines that we have. You know, in magnetic, in aeromagnetic data acquisition, the aircraft is flown in lines, 500 meter spacing. So for this particular data, we actually have about 559 lines. This we may not be able to say because if you click on any line, it shows you the data, but it is not very intuitive enough. So what we usually do is to export it and import it just as one line data. I think that makes our work to be easier. So in doing so, if you want to export it, we go to database and export to CSV. There are several other data formats that you can export to, like the Geosoft XYZ. They are basically the same, but it is customized for Geosoft, where you have the X as the longitude, Y as the latitude, and Z as the TMI and all that. So you can even export it as a Microsoft Access data. You can export it as an SRI, S3 shapefile, or S3 file geodatabase. You will understand all these when we start talking about ArcGIS in proper. You will get to know what this means. So, but for now, let's just use this simple CSV format. CSV means comma separated values. So in this case, we want to use the CSV in Excel. That is what we want to use. So we have to provide a data file name, and this data file name here, we'll just choose and say, this data file, let us call it Akere 162 rather, Akere 162. That is a CSV file .csv. Okay, so we have akere.csv. Now I say, which are the channels you wish to save? Displayed channels? No, we want to save all database channels. It said the lines, selected lines. No, we want to select all lines. So, and after that, do you want to be put any data? No. So we just click on OK here. So this will export all our data to the CSV. If we look at it now, we have it in the CSV file. So what we're going to do, we are just going to close. Yes, we want to save these changes. We want to close this. So what we're going to do is to import this data that we've exported. Like I said, the reason why we did this is for us to regrid our data so that we will own the data. So most times you may be getting your data in this format, in a CSV format or in any format whatsoever. But then if we get it in a CSV, we can now build with it and know that we own this particular data. So what we're going to do here is to go to database and click on import. We will use this particular one as C. There are several ways in which you can import data, but suffice it to say, for the purpose of this tutorial, for you not to take too much of our time, we'll not be talking about all this. So you can read about them later, but we're using ASCII. Now it's asking us for which file do you want to import. So we click on these three dots and say we want to import on this Akere 162 file. So we click on open. Usually we'll use the wizard. Wizard makes it smooth and easy for us to import this data without making much mistakes. So what it's doing is that it's asking you, is it a delimited file? Yes, it's a delimited file, because delimited means that it is a comma separated values. So this is spaces. You look at it now, it's explaining that spaces or comma separate each data field. And of course, yes, because we have our X comma, Y comma, Z, and all these numbers are comma separated. That is what CSV means. The data are comma separated. So we'll check this automatically because we are using the wizard. Automatically, it has given us that option, and automatically it's telling us we start our import on row 2 on this. Start your import on this, because you don't need the XYZ anymore, because the software will automatically give us XYZ. So because this is a wizard, it's actually making it easy for us. So you are previewing the first 500 rows. Yeah, we're previewing that, and now we click on next. You see, it has already separated it for us. We have the X, we have the Y, we have the Z, because it is in this Microsoft Excel CSV. What it's doing is pampering us, in quote, is that we're using the wizard. The wizard makes the experience very, very smooth for us. So we click on next. It says channel name is this. We have a floating point. Yes, because we have different data types. We have string, which means for text. We have unsigned short integers. That means it's just from positive values that are just positive values. We have the floating numbers. We have the double precision numbers and all that. We're not going to go deep into this, but just suffice it to say that everything is working for us the way it is, because this wizard is helping us make the very critical decisions at this time. So we click on OK. Do you want to save this template? If you want to save it, no problem. But for me, I do not need to save it. I have the wizards to work with. So we are giving the database a new name. So which name are we giving it, and where do we want it to be? So we want to name it Akere 162. That is the name we want to give to our database. So we click on save, and pretty much for small databases like this, all these are okay for us. All these the default values are okay. We'll just click on OK here, and it will create a new database for us. So that is the beauty of it, you know. So let's just forget about these errors. Don't worry about these errors. It's because sometimes these things happen. I need to update this particular software. So what it has done, now if you look at this place now, click on list, you will see that we just have one line now. So, and look at the number of rows that we have. We have 3,041,121 rows of data. So quite a large number of data that we have here. So now we are beginning. Oh, this is the beauty, because we have our XYZ data. It's prompting me, do you want to save changes in open documents? I will tell it yes, so that to preserve what we have done already. So what we have seen now is that we have the X, we have the Y, we have the Z. Z is the stuff that we have. So we have done to import the database and assign coordinates. So we are going to assign coordinates to this. So we use these coordinates. So we set the correct XYZ coordinates. Now, the correct XYZ coordinate is this. We are all good, as it were. We click on OK. And then the next thing again is we have to set a coordinate system. Usually we work with two coordinate systems. We work with the projected coordinate system and the geographic coordinate system. So now we want to assign a coordinate system to this our data, because we just imported this database. We have not assigned a coordinate system for it to work with. So which is the coordinate system here? Because it's asking us, for example, here, set XY as the current XY. We click yes. So what is the coordinate system here? A quick look at the data will show you that this is a projected coordinate system that is here, and it is in zone. It's the projection method is UTM zone 32. You just click this and go to UTM zone 32. That is where we have it. UTM. Okay, Akere is in UTM zone 31. Actually, it's in UTM zone 31. Sorry. Look at the data, you will realize it is UTM zone 31 north. So let's take that. I will provide a text explaining this UTM zone. So let's suffice it to have this UTM zone 31, and the unit is in meters. We click OK. So now we have assigned a coordinate system to this our data. If you don't do so, you may not be able to plot your map, because it will tell you that the coordinate system is not available. So the next thing we're going to do, we're still going back to this coordinate, and we are setting a new projected coordinate system. Like I told you, we work with two coordinate systems, the projected and the geographic. We only have the projected here, so we want to create the geographic. So this is what we have here. We will click on next. And now it's telling us, okay, it has recognized that now we have a coordinate system at which is the projected. It's in zone 31, all is good. We click on OK. We'll go ahead. So it now says, what is the name you want to give to your new coordinate system? So I will give this one longitude, short form, and this one latitude. So we click on next. So what it's going to do is ask us, this new long lat, which coordinate system you wish it to have. We want it to have a geographic coordinate system. So in this case, we don't have a projection method. We want to use the WGS84 datum. We want to have our length and units in degrees. So all is well. We click on OK. So what it has done, it has created our longitude and latitude here. So we have our data right now. Having our longitude and latitude information here. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to, now that we have assigned coordinates, we will now be able to grid our data. So we'll go to this grid and image and click on minimum curvature. Minimum curvature is the one that really works well for us. We'll talk about the different gridding methods in a text that I will provide. So which channel do we want to grid? We want to grid the Z, which is containing the TMI value. What is the output grid that we want to have? So we will say the output grid, let's call it Akere. Akere, let's put tutorials here so that we'll now see it is the tutorial data that we used here, but you can name it anything. Now this grid cell size, for now we are going to leave it empty. If you leave it empty, it's going to use 1/4 of the line space. The line space is 500. A quarter of the line space makes it 125. You can add 125 or leave it blank. Most times I just leave it blank for it to automatically choose it. But you can do it anyhow. You can grid it the way you want. But optimally, it uses 1/4 of the grid size of the line spacing to actually work. So we will do this and we perform this particular thing. So now that is done, we'll see we have our grid. We can use this to zoom to full map to see our map. You know, the way it is now, we are confident that any process that we're going to be doing from now henceforth will be according to the plan that we originally have. So to conclude this session, what we have done here is that we looked at the general overview of Oasis montage. We explored menus, we loaded some menus that we selected, we loaded a grid that was originally given to us, we exported that particular grid to a database, we imported that database and assigned coordinates. And now we did a gridding using the minimal curvature gridding format. I hope this is helpful to you so we can do all more. So if you need more information, you can check the information at the bottom of this particular video and ask your questions.